A guided imagery meditation done by Dr. Freddi. I've asked her to do this for a few minutes. She's done it a few times for me. I think it's fun. It's relaxing, but it's fun, and she'll tell you. I think you'll enjoy it. Freddi, you want to light it down a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here, you take this up at the light.
And make sure you pick up a handout on Gaussy. It's short, but it's pretty good.
I really don't think of this as a meditation. I just think of it as a little exercise, kind of centering sort of exercise for some of the things we'll talk about this afternoon. So it's just a fun little quick thing, kind of fun, see if you can get into it and enjoy it. What I'd like you to do is just kind of close your eyes, get into a comfortable position, take a deep breath, maybe take a couple more deep breaths, and just allow yourself to take a couple of minutes to relax. This involves visualization, so even if you think you don't visualize very well, just take a look at whatever comes into your mind or that you're aware of. So what I'd like you to do is, as you relax your body, is to imagine that you're walking through a wooded area. And as you walk through this wooded area, you come to a clearing. When you get to the clearing, I'd like you to look up and see what kind of a day it is. Just think it in your mind, or visualize in your mind what kind of a day it is, and make note of it. You continue walking on, and as you continue to walk on, you go back into the woods, and suddenly you see a key. Look where the key is. Pick it up or check it out so that you can see exactly what it looks like. And then just imagine what you do with it. Then I'd like you to keep on walking. And as you continue to walk, you come upon a cup. Check out the cup. What does it look like? How does it feel? What do you do about it? You continue walking along, and as you walk along, you find for yourself a body of water. Take a good look at the body of water. See what it is, how it looks. And what do you do about that? After the body of water, as you continue through the woods, you come upon a bear. What does the bear look like? What do you do about the bear? You continue walking, and you emerge from the woods. Look at what you can see in front of you. There's a fence. What do you do about the fence? And what's on the other side of the fence? Okay, you can all open up your eyes. Take another deep breath. If anybody's sunk into a state of sleep, I'll count to 5, and when I say 5, that means open up your eyes. Wake up right now. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eyes open, wide awake. Okay, let's go back through this for just a second. Maybe I'll have like 2 people, let's say at the most, to answer a question if you want to. You're walking through the woods. As you're walking through the woods, you come to a clearing. 2 people. What kind of day is it? Just raise your hand. Well, I wait, because we can't hear you when you all talk at once. So one person. Sunny day. Somebody else. What else? Yes, on the back.
Midday.
Midday. Okay. Is that what you said?
Yes.
All right. Midday. All right. Yes. Yours was cloudy. You had a full moon. It was nighttime. Okay. So you continue. Okay. Let me tell you what it represents. The kind of day that you see, and you've got a nighttime, represents your outlook on life. Okay, how you see life. Don't take this stuff like too seriously, okay? But this is just a little psychological kind of exercise. All right, you keep on walking. As you keep on walking, you find a key. What kind of keys did we have? Skeleton, what? A bronze key, a skeleton key, a gold key. Okay,
A big key that opens up the gate.
okay, a great big key opens up something. Okay. All right, the key represents knowledge. How many people took it with them? Okay, how many people did something disastrous with the key? Who left it? School for you. Cloudy day, you left the key. Talk to me later. Okay. All right. You went on walking and you came to a cup. What kind of cups did we have? Yes, in the middle. A red cup. Okay? Somebody else. Chipped cup. Yes. A metal teacup. A round teacup. In the back behind us.
Oh, white, like plastic cup.
A white plastic cup. Okay, the cup represents love. What did you do about the cup? Who took it with them? My first one was a styrofoam cup and I stomped on it. The first time I did this. All right, you kept on walking. You came to a body of water. What kind of bodies of water do we have? A lake. A lake, a pond. What else? Water. Okay. I did not hear that all together. What did you do about the water? You put your feet in it. What did you do? Got a drink of the cup. You went fishing. Okay. The cup, the water represents sex. Yes.
So what if you cross over the body of water?
If you broke what?
What if you cross over the body of water?
Oh, if you crossed over the body, you're very tentative about sex. Okay, once you get past that, you come to a bear. What kind of bears do we have? A grizzly, a black bear, a brown bear, a polar bear. Anybody have a different size bear? Anybody have a baby bear? Baby bear? Bears represent problems in your life and how you handle them. Who ran away? Who fought with the bear? Who played with the bear? Okay, all right, good deal. You do what? Oh, reasoned with it. All right, good. All right, finally, you come out of the woods, and as you come out of the woods, you see something. What did we see? Meadow, flowers. Okay. There was a fence. What kind of fence did we have? All right, you guys heard that? Well, you have all kinds of fences. It can be a picket fence. Anybody have a barbed wire fence? Okay. Anybody have, like, I don't know, a chicken wire fence or something? Chain link? Okay, all right. What did you do about the fence? Jumped over it? Anybody stay on this side? Not jump over it? Anybody go through it? Anybody vault it? Okay, all right. What do you see on the other side? A town? A cow? Cows? A town, what else? What? A tractor, okay? Okay, so what you see on, first of all, the fence represents the end of your life. What you see beyond it is your subconscious thought about life after death, or what happens on the other side. All right, so people have different things about that. A lot of people don't pay any attention to that fence, don't want to get involved with it. So, anyway, it's just a little fun exercise. One of the things that it does do is it tends to center you a little bit, because if you take a look at those things and you use them as metaphors, you can think to yourself, is that really me? Is that really how I feel? Or is that just how I feel today because I'm in a bad mood? Or, where is my head in relation to what actually happened to me in that exercise? Okay, thanks.
Wasn't that fun? Now the basement, no pain, but anybody has questions? questions that you didn't answer, if you're specific, feel free to see her after 1:15 and bombard her big time. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to aliens. There's no kids in here, is there? You're a kid? Okay. Okay, so both Freddi and I have different perspectives on aliens. Mine is from the spiritual world, hers is from the real world. So we decided to kind of mix it up here, give you a little full-rounded scare the daylight out of you kind of thing. I'm just going to do it really short because there's just a couple of things I want to say about it, and I'm going to turn I'm going to turn it over to Freddi to do the majority of it. So, I want to say, there's good aliens, there's bad aliens. I've encountered and captured both on camera and video. The good aliens, the Pleiadians, for example, are here to help us. The bad aliens, some of the grays, are most definitely not here to help us, but instead hurt us. My first experience with gray aliens came to me as a spirit-driven event when a new friend showed me a picture of her friend who was dying of cancer and asked me to do a healing on her. Well, let me tell you what the picture looked like. It was kind of creepy, but when I saw the picture, I asked her to give me a soft copy of it so I could zoom in and really take a look. When I zoomed in, I found this poor girl had numerous bad gray aliens attached to her, as well as a dark entity. The story is chapter 34 of my book, and the pictures are in section 1. Now, I want to say something briefly about the black-eyed children phenomenon that a friend of mine, Mary Ruth Becker, this past April brought to my attention over lunch one day. She had heard about it on Coast to Coast, where they interviewed an author by the name of David Weatherly, who has recently published a book on the black-eyed children phenomenon. Anybody out there heard of him? Good, you're gonna now. My first reaction, let me show you some. This is some pictures out of the internet, okay? My first reaction was it was a bunch of BS, and therefore I wanted to just dismiss it. However, for several days afterwards, I was not able to dismiss it, but instead it started to weigh very heavily on me. When this happens to me, I know I'm supposed to do something about it. So I started doing research on the subject, first on the author, then on the subject. My findings were creepy, to say the least. Still a bit skeptical, I decided to research the spiritual realm by asking God, my spirit allies, my spirit family and friends about the black-eyed children, and to see what I would receive back on my requests. In a nutshell, the black-eyed children are a negative, dangerous, and therefore evil classification, which I would also put into the bad alien arena. Their motive is to get you to invite them into your house or your car, etc. Their goal is to possess a body they can desire and can inhabit. Their presence can be detected without a visual. It's a cold, foreboding feeling of fear. If this happens to you, there's 4 things you need to do. Never invite them in. And 2, tell them if they're not here with the good of God, then for them to leave, for they are not wanted here, they must leave. No option, just like I told about the other spirits. If you have children, teach them never to let strangers into the house, car, etc. And 4, back to that prayer of protection that I've been telling you about all day long. Okay? Generally, if a person who works in the light, like I do, they will not even come near me, but they will instead be repelled. Because light repels dark, and they are dark. However, if you mess around with the occult, Ouija boards, and other negative forces, and do not look in the light, then they are not repelled by you. If you think by having a dog alerting you and protecting you, they scare the daylights out of the dog too, and they'll run in fear. So, now that I scared the daylights out of you, I am going to turn the rest of the alien topic over to Freddi, let her relate her experiences with her clients and her personal experience. And also after the break, you can visit Freddi's table, ask her questions, look through her binder. Okay? Hold on, I gotta switch over to your presentation.
Okay, everybody, Mary asked me to talk about this. First of all, let me give you the disclaimer. I am not an expert or an authority on the area of aliens. I just happen to have had some experience in this area in the past. I've always been very, very interested in paranormal, all aspects of it, everything that we're talking about here, and then many other things. I put out a few books on the table back there that are just some of my books from different areas that I have been involved with in one way or the other. I got into the field of hypnosis, I think because of an interest in the paranormal, and I didn't know anything about hypnosis. I was able to find out, how legitimate hypnosis and hypnotherapy actually are, and I did do hypnotherapy with my clients. In the early 90s, when I first came up here to the high desert, shortly after I came up here, I had a television show and a radio show in my home. And in the course of doing that, at one time, I did have a subject of ghost on where people could call up and, talk about their different experiences. And one of those people began to talk about alien abduction. From that moment on, I met a number of different people. One of them was the wife of a very prominent judge up here in the high desert. And she was a researcher in the area of alien phenomena and UFOs. She herself had been out to Area 51, not on Area 51, of course, this is when it was still occupied, but she had been near it, and they had seen a craft. And a group of people began to invite my husband and I to come out to the Phelan area, where at that time the area we were going to didn't have hardly any houses, where we would look out towards Edwards Air Force Base and the dry lake out there, and we would see all kinds of phenomena. Now, how much of that phenomena is actually us, our military, experimenting with different types of craft and different types of events, I don't know. But there was a lot of activity that took place out there. In the course of that time, I actually moved over to that next one, if you will. Well, let me go back and say, many pictures that have to do with the Bible, many paintings that are depicted about stories that are actually in the Bible, contain illustrations that show some kind of craft in the sky. Most of you probably know that. I just put one of them up, but there are many pictures actually that have been done by artists at that time who depict something that actually is in the sky or something that looks like a craft. Can you go to the next one? Okay, if you go on the internet, there's all kinds of pictures that you can get. I just happened to pick up these two. Mary talked about the grays. That's just one version of them. If you look at the little binder that I brought, one of the people that came to talk to me drew a lot of pictures of grays. She had an experience. She had many, many, many experiences from the time she was very little, from the time she was about 8 years old. She was born at George Air Force Base. She lived for a period of time out in the Ridgecrest area. When she was in the Ridgecrest area, she had an experience of seeing, it was very deserted. We're talking back in the 70s that she was out there. Her husband worked for the telephone company, which was Contel at that time, and he was frequently gone. She had several small children. She used to sleep with a gun at night in her bed when her husband was gone because the closest people were about a mile away. In any case, what happened was that she went outside. They were playing cards. He happened to be at home. They were playing cards. She went outside to get something from her car, and she saw this little being coming along the road towards her that she thought was a kid dressed up like for Halloween. However, it wasn't in October, and this little figure came, and it looked like it wasn't quite touching the ground, almost like it was hovering over the ground, coming towards her. Scared the heck out of her. She ran inside. She and her husband came back. There was no sign of this this childlike creature, that came along. There's a picture of it in my book, you can see it. From that point on, she told me that a number of instances that took place for her, and we decided that she would get to a certain point, and at that certain point, it was like everything would go blank. And as I was describing to one of the gentlemen who is here in the back, one of the things that often happened, especially in that time period around the 90s, was that there would be a blocking of individuals who felt that they had been taken and they would have missing time. Any of you who have read any of the literature on UFOs, you've read about that, and you know about the missing time. And the person's memory would be blocked by a vision of something else. So when she first started talking to me about that, we decided that we would try some aggressive hypnosis and be able to take her back so that she could recount that experience up to the time where she couldn't remember it any longer. The first time that we did this, and you cannot lead as a hypnotherapist at this time, you can't give suggestions that suggest a particular thing. You just have to say, what were you doing then? What happened next? Very general kinds of things. When we got to the point, what she had described to me consciously was that she was in her house, it was nighttime, she was in bed. It felt to her like there was a dark velvet blanket that came over the top of the house because it got so pitch black in the house. Suddenly she saw a figure standing, again in silhouette up at her dresser where she had laid out some jewelry. And this being was picking up the jewelry and looking at it, and there was just enough movement of that for her to be able to see the gold, and that's what was happening. She had this rifle next to her in the bed, so she went to go and take it, but she became paralyzed with fear, so she became very, very sick. Now, some psychologists will tell you that was probably sleep paralysis. She didn't feel that's what it was. She just felt she couldn't move. This being came over towards the side of the bed and leaned over her, and she said all she could see were these two big black eyes. And then she couldn't remember anything else. When we did the hypnosis and we did the regression, she practically leapt out of my chair. She could remember all the rest of the details, which had to do with her being abducted, not her being abducted, her children being abducted. You will see some sketches back in the book also of things that she saw from the time that she was 8 years old, and many, many other things that she saw. A lot of stuff, some of the stuff Mary has seen too, other things that are depicted on the internet or talked about. Oh, excuse me, the one on the right, that is one example of a reptilian. You'll also see in the binder back here pictures of reptilians. I know it sounds gross. If anybody watched V when that came out on TV? All right, so these were not people that had a zip-up kind of skin on top of a human body, or vice versa, a human body on top of this skin. They actually were like this, these beings. Once again, you can say to yourself, okay, if there really are extraterrestrials, and they are on different dimensions, or they are on different planets, why do they have to look like us? They could look like anything, right? They could be anything. So there could be reptilians, if indeed we do have aliens here. Okay, the Nordics is another group. There's a book called Light Years, and if you take a look at that, this is the Nordics are very tall, very blonde, very peaceful people. Same thing with the Pleiadians. Pleiadians, I always have a hard time with that word. Coming from that star cluster in the sky that we can actually see all year round usually in the sky, cluster of stars together. Go to the next one there. There are global indications throughout history. Many of you have probably seen the show Ancient Aliens on television. They will show you all kinds of statues, different types of representations of what look like they could be people from another planet. These are just some of them. This first one over here is something that gentleman had an experience with. This is a statue, as you can see. We can go to the next one. These are from Ecuador. And again, you can see we have something that looks not too human. And again, the smaller one with what looks like a helmet on the head of the individual. Next one. Okay, this is the picture, I forgot I put this up here, of the friend or the person that spoke to me about the creature that came to her and was on the other side of the car from her in Ridgecrest, you can see she was in the Red Bear area. That was an artist who did the picture as she described it. This she drew in, was from when she was 8 years old. It was a craft that she saw outside, and she kind of describes it underneath. It's back there in the binder too. The picture on the left was done by an attorney. The attorney had been out to see a client out in the Morongo area out there by Joshua Tree. And she was coming back. It was 11 o'clock at night. She had her dog with her. She happened to look off to the right into a big vacant area, and she saw this craft. She said it was larger than the size of a football field. I can't tell you how many pictures I have from people with a craft that looks just like that. And these people are from all walks of life, from attorneys to medical doctors to homemakers to a custodian to a nurse, all walks of life, different people, men and women alike. This is the interior of a craft of somebody who lives over in the Lancaster area. This gentleman came to, I had a group of people that wanted to get together because they had all had experiences. So we would meet like on a once-a-month basis, and one time when we were meeting in my office, I'm a therapist, and so this was in my psychological office, and we were having this discussion, and we were talking about different experiences, different thoughts we had about it, what was involved, when there was a phenomena in the room, and this was like a whirlwind of light that came in the room. We're talking about a closed room like this, okay, that just came in the room and appeared, in which I saw it, and several of the other people who were there saw it as well. It was just very, very interesting to have that happen. Well, the area of aliens is very widespread, and therefore the study of it is also. In that early 1990s time, 1994, about MIT, which is a very prestigious university, as you all know, did a major conference here. I have the book from the conference back there, I believe, but they went in depth, taking a look at all of the people's experiences. Some of you have heard about Dr. John Mack. Dr. John Mack is from Harvard. He's a Harvard professor. He wrote a large, huge book on alien abduction. So we're talking about people, again, who are well-educated, who've had experiences, or enough people that they've worked with in order to be able to research this area. Okay, both of these pictures are of reptilians. Again, the one on the left is from the person I had talked to up here. This is another person I met at a party. Just gave me a picture because she claimed that this reptilian, who had some kind of a uniform on, was her husband. And I didn't know her really well, so she might have had some other things going on for her. But at the same time, she was very convinced that she had had experiences that were not in this dimension, or not like here. Okay, can we go to the next one then? This was a really interesting thing that happened. The person on the left who drew this picture, this was a reptilian, and it had like a headdress on. She said that this was beige in color, and it wore a crown. You can see on the crown that there's sort of like a leaf up there, and then there was the serpent that was right in the middle. What was really interesting about it was that several months later, when we were having a meeting, a gentleman came to the meeting who I didn't know, who someone had referred him to coming to the meeting, and he came in, and during that evening, I asked him to describe his experience with the reptilian he had seen, and he drew the picture on the right. It may be hard for you to see, but over here, it's got like a diamond shape here, and there was like a cluster of leaves over here. And in one of the other pictures that I have that she drew, it was very, very similar to this headdress. And it's kind of weird, you know, to be able to talk to a couple of people who you know are healthy psychologically, and they're both saying, look, we've met these people. They had these crowns on. This is how they look. Those two people didn't know each other at all. The guy was from Alaska. He just happened to be in town. Someone told him about the meeting. He came to the meeting. So that was an interesting thing. No, different times. Those pictures were done at completely different times. Yeah. Sometimes the reptilians are called reptoids. Neil Armstrong and many, many other astronauts have claimed not only to see craft, but to go way beyond that. I've got some of their material in the back also, where they have talked about a base on the moon, where they have talked about being told to leave the moon, not to go back to the moon. You ever wonder why we haven't gone back to the moon and landed on the moon since 1969? I mean, some really, really interesting stuff. Of course, we all know that the government or the powers that be here have basically put a big kibosh on any kind of events like this that take place. So for a long time, astronauts, people in power, have not wanted to speak out or say anything about what they knew. If you read some of the material that's back there, you'll see that they claim we do have aliens who are among us, from other planets, and they go into a lot of detail about it. And I know that a lot of it sounds like we could believe that. I'm just telling you what it is that I've learned in other experience. This was in a bathroom. The guy who gave it to me said that he had just been talking with his girlfriend because she was having experiences, felt that she had been abducted. He went into the bathroom, went into the stall, closed the door, and this was on the back of the door. This happened to be coincidental, so it's kind of interesting. Okay, these are just a few of the books. That's John Mack's book up there on the top. The guy who wrote on UFOs, he also writes on crop circles and any number of other related types of events. I did a lot of work with people who had had experiences and really felt that they had been abducted one way or the other. What I can say about it is that as far as myself personally, I have seen in the sky with my husband a light phenomena which basically looked like an airplane coming towards us about 300 feet off of the ground. Large orange balls that were not lined up like they would be on the front of an airplane. One was up here, one was here, one was here. We watched them for about 10 minutes. Ultimately, they all went out, but one at a time. My husband saw this at least 4 times. I saw it twice. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Happened at sunset at that time. Other people have said it's gas plasma balls. Maybe it is. It wasn't ball lightning, you know that. But shortly after that, about a month later, it was seen here in the Victorville area. The Daily Press got a picture of it. People saw it all over the area. It was in the newspaper at night and very brightly lit. And many of you have seen stories that are on the news, like this. So the bottom line is that this is a spiritual conference. Mary has a perspective, from her perspective. My perspective came from a research perspective. I have not been abducted to my knowledge. I have not had anybody come and visit me, but as far as the Greys, Mary feels they're all bad. I have heard many stories.
They're not all bad.
Okay. I was just going to say I've heard a number of stories where they're not all bad. They're more helpers, that kind of thing. Some of you know the Travis Walton story where he was taken and disappeared for like 5 days and was redeposited. It's a gentleman in Arizona. There was a big conference out here Mary told me about just a few months ago called Contact, which took place out at Joshua Tree, where many, many people attended and paid a lot of money to be able to come out and to be involved with this experience. So what I would say to you again is that there's a lot of stuff that goes on. There's a lot of things that happen that we don't understand, that we don't know what it's all about, or we can't identify it in our 3D way look of approaching life. And because we don't know everything that there is out there, you can keep an open mind about it. If it interests you, you can look into it, and you can see what it is that you believe or that you think might possibly be happening if it's something that is interesting to you. And that's basically what I would say to you is have your own experience, look into it, something happens to you and you don't know how to explain it. Sometimes, and I know a lot of you are spiritual, there's a knowing. There's a feeling you have inside you where you know, whether it's this or whether it's something paranormal, you know you're right about your feelings about it. So enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.